Simon Told Helen wins a half length. Zach Manelli second.
Welcome to Greyhound Gossip.
Peaky Blinders start cheering for Tommy Shelby wins the WA Sprint Championship final.
Featuring Peter O'Neill and Leia Ernest.
Mozza moves up to Mermaid Manelli. Fab's Gem 3 deep. Here comes Fab's Gem.
Hard style Rico by 5 lengths to Simon Told Helen. Third Tommy Shelby.
This segment is dedicated to the discussion and promotion of greyhound racing.
Cindy's Oliver, Rockstar Patriot, Paul Stewart, back-to-back with Rockstar Patriot in the Galaxy.
Handsome Prince, a bolder clear, the former Tasmanian. Handsome Prince has won the $1 million chase.
And a very good morning, everyone, and welcome along to Greyhound Gossip, a big weekend of greyhound racing with the heats of the WA Bred Championship. We'll look at those a little bit later on, and also chasing today at Northam. If you are heading up to Northam today, just take note that there's a truck fire on near Warwick, and traffic is banked back, so you might want to take an alternate route on the way to Northam today and make sure you drive safely. It's a big week in greyhound racing and for racing and wagering Western Australia, as there's an animal welfare forum on Wednesday and Thursday with dignitaries coming across from different parts of Australia and also New Zealand to take part in what is a very, very important animal welfare forum. And the forum will include keynote speakers who are experts in their field. And we're here today on Greyhound Gossip to chat with one of those special guests that will be here on Wednesday, and that's Dr. Michelle Ledger. I believe she's arrived in Perth, and she has been good enough to give her time this morning. Dr. Michelle Ledger, welcome along to Greyhound Gossip, and I hope you've arrived safely in Perth.
Hi, Peter. Yes, thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me.
Where did you actually come from?
So I am resident in New South Wales, actually. But my current role takes me further offshore to New Zealand, and I'm working with the New Zealand Greyhound Racing as their current manager of welfare, so looking after all things greyhound welfare during what's a fairly difficult time in New Zealand with the government reviews.
Okay, hearing a little bit of an accent, so can you start off and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you're involved in the greyhound sport and what you'll be talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally hail from South Africa. I've been living in Australia for just over 10 years now, and all of that time basically involved in the regulation of racing and welfare-related roles. So initially started off in the thoroughbred sports in Victoria, and then moved over to New South Wales and into the greyhounds as the chief vet for the Greyhound Welfare Integrity Commission for a number of years, and now taking up the challenge here with New Zealand during a government review.
You speak of the challenges. What are those challenges that are facing the greyhound industry in New Zealand especially?
Yeah, so New Zealand has undergone several government reviews in the last couple of years, and all of those have centred around matters of greyhound welfare. And I think they really fell out of what was a larger expose within Australia, and everyone remembers the Four Corners live baiting expose, and that had flow-on effects to all greyhound industries, I'm sure. But essentially, the current review, the Minister gave the greyhound racing industry in New Zealand 18 months to demonstrate noticeable welfare improvement across the board, with a warning to the industry that the status quo was really not going to be acceptable, and that they would have to demonstrate those improvements. And the government would be making a decision on whether the greyhound racing industry could continue in New Zealand or whether it would in fact be shut down. And I think that we still have this threat of closure hanging over our heads in New Zealand, and the upcoming election will dictate really for us essentially the outcomes, as the new government will be making a decision fairly shortly after the election.
Do you believe that the community acceptance of racing lies in people understanding, the bond between the human and the animal?
I absolutely do. I think there's a lot of common ground. The community concerns about greyhound racing stem from concerns about the welfare of greyhounds, and the welfare of greyhounds comes down to things which were perhaps initially, irresponsibly reported, should we say, in relation to wastage and excess deaths and all these missing greyhounds. And we know that the industry has changed significantly over the last 5 or 6 years, and we just don't see that kind of deaths, unnecessary euthanasias and things happening in the industry. But we do still see injuries in our industry, and I think that's probably the biggest focus for people who wish to criticise the industry currently is our injury rates. But, I mean, it's disappointing. We still see headlines coming out of some greyhound jurisdictions in relation to claims of live baiting or claims of poor treatment of greyhounds. And I think all of these things add up to an image of the greyhound racing which is easy for public to criticise. I think that, people who own dogs have a special bond with their own pet dogs. They couldn't imagine treating their pet dogs in a bad way, most of them. And I think that if we can demonstrate this real love that we know that everybody who's involved in greyhounds has for their racing animals, the bond that they share with those dogs, then that's the way that we can potentially connect with other pet owners who actually understand that connection with the animal and that bond that you can have. And that spans across a number of different uses of dogs, working dogs and sporting dogs.
Very important indeed. You're obviously in town to speak at the forum and looking forward to that on Wednesday. Can you explain what the purpose of the forum is?
Yeah, absolutely. I think RAW is certainly committed to enhancing collaboration across many organisations, and the shared goal is to understand the issues with respect to greyhound and equine welfare that the industry currently faces, and then to bring together a host of experts and stakeholders from different organisations that share the common goal of enhancing animal welfare, and then really teasing out what might be some of the solutions to those issues. And then once we can set those solutions in play, we can consult more broadly, and RAWA would be in a better position to develop their welfare strategy going forward and what the priorities will be in terms of that strategy. So I think it's really a shared collaborative space where there's an opportunity to look at what other jurisdictions are doing. There's an opportunity to hear what the research is currently telling us, and then an opportunity to brainstorm and set some decent strategy in play.
It's a great initiative, and to get everyone together and share those goals of seeking positive welfare outcomes is obviously very important for the industry and for the wider community in being able to put that information across.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great opportunity for participants to get involved, at the brainstorming part, if there's things that they'd like to see happen or there's ideas that they may have had that they haven't had the opportunity to put forward, then I think this is really an excellent opportunity to hear from participants, because at the end of the day, they're the ones managing the animals. They're the ones who can have probably the greatest influence on the welfare outcomes of those animals in racing industries. And their input is absolutely essential to this process.
We're speaking with Dr. Michelle Ledger on Greyhound Gossip this morning, and Michelle has come across from New South Wales. She'll be speaking at a welfare forum on Wednesday and Thursday, I believe, Michelle. The forum is split into a greyhound-focused day on Wednesday and an equine-focused day the following day, and your presentation is titled Sustained Greyhound Racing, a Shared Responsibility. Can you dive into this topic a little bit and give us an insight into what you will actually be discussing there?
Yeah, absolutely. So really my topic is one of sustainability and about how we build a sustainable racing industry, but also in terms of why the social license is essential to that sustainability, right? I mean, I think the impact of social license is threatening the sustainability of greyhound racing and horse racing and other animal use industries really worldwide at the moment. And there's current, anti-racing sentiment that's growing amongst our community. And I think the message is clear that social license is integral to the future of racing. And it's really going to depend upon industries working hard to demonstrate that they are able to have really good welfare outcomes for the animals which they care for, and on establishing that trust and credibility among the community. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, and also how that's really a shared responsibility. That's not something that RAWA or any organisation can come and say, right, we've sorted out the social licence aspect. Everybody that looks after a greyhound, everyone that has a role to play within the industry shares some responsibility for maintaining that social licence. So we'll look at how everyone involved in the racing industry can take some proactive steps to improve it and to assist the industry in maintaining its credibility and in being sustainable moving forward.
And obviously you'll be discussing what it actually looks like, sustainable racing actually looks like.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. We'll look at all the moving parts about sustainability and about, the social licence threats, and then also some of the steps that we can take to really mitigate those threats. And it starts out with the welfare of the animal and really being able to demonstrate that.
So what are you hoping the key takeaways from the forum will be from your discussions?
And I've got two lectures, so I'm discussing that sustainability piece in my first session, and my second session is probably a real passion of mine, and that's preventing injuries in greyhounds, the risk factors for injuries and how we can best mitigate those, and some of the data that we've looked at in New Zealand and other jurisdictions and what that tells us. And so some of my take-home messages will be, about the things that the people that take care of greyhounds every day can do to try to mitigate some of those injuries, can do to try to ensure that the welfare of the greyhounds are always paramount. I mean, I think it's a great interplay, because if the welfare of the animal is good, they're going to perform at their best, right? So it's in everyone's best interest, really, to do so.
Definitely. Thanks for coming across. I hope the weather's nice enough for you over the next couple of days, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from you on Wednesday with the other guest speakers here for the Animal Welfare Forum. That's Dr. Michelle Ledger. Enjoy your stay here in WA.
Thanks very much. We'll see you Wednesday.
Good on you. Definitely. Dr. Michelle Ledger joining us, and Leia Ernest comes into Greyhound Gossip. Very important part, as we've discussed for many years, Leia, and it's getting more important, the animal welfare, which we've always put at the forefront of greyhound racing here in Western Australia. And it's going to be very interesting, that forum on Wednesday. There's numerous veterinarians and dignitaries from not only here in Western Australia, but right the way around from Australia and New Zealand as well, that'll be coming together and collaborating their information, their thoughts on how we can improve our industry going forward.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and good morning to you as well, Pete. It was really interesting having a listen to what she said, because she made some very strong points about what it is that we need to connect with people who aren't on the bandwagon for greyhound racing. And I think that connection and education is super important. So I look forward to hearing what they discuss on Wednesday in further detail.
All right, let's go back to Saturday night. It was a big night of greyhound racing. We had the final of, the heats of the WA Bred Championship. And just before we go to our next special guest, let's go back to heat number 2.
The fifth event on the card, and they're set. Racing. King Tommy slowly away. Last out, in fact, the favourite showing early speed. Disco Daisy. Father Manelli. Disco Daisy works the lead. Coming across from out wide was West on Blossom. Seeing the inside run, King Tommy works through now, goes to third. Then followed by Firecloud, putting Manelli. Last of all was Hinto. Down the back, Disco Daisy is the leader. Out by a length and a half. Father Manelli now running on was King Tommy. 3 lengths behind them, West on Blossom and also Firecloud as they come to the corner. This dog has got a jockey on his back, King Tommy. He weaved his way like magic and he wins by 7 lengths. Second goes to Disco Daisy. Father Manelli and nose away third. Then followed by West on Blossom. Behind them was Hinto.
Brilliant win by King Tommy there on Saturday night. Speaking of jockeys, Justin Warwick has legged up a few jockeys over his time, including his champion daughter, and he is our special guest this morning. You would have been really happy with his initiative to weave his way through the field. Justin, good morning.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, listeners. It didn't look too good after I'd gone 50 metres or so, but the distance was always going to be a bit of an issue for him if he walked out of the boxes, which he did, but very exciting.
Sometimes I wish that we had a Lucy Warwick on board with some of the greyhounds because they make the wrong moves, but he seems to have that initiative to know which way to go, which is a very important aspect of a very good dog.
Yeah, it's funny to say that. Sometimes you wish you had a different jockey on than the one you have on, depending on what decision they make. But yeah, not all dogs make the right decision, and not. And then sometimes, obviously, there's luck in running of what you get caught up in at other times. But
Justin, I might just get you to move slightly because you're just breaking up a little bit there, and hopefully, otherwise we'll give you a call back. We'll just try again. But you were mentioning about his initiative in being able to work his way through the field. Justin's there? No? All right, I might try and call Justin back later and continue our conversation in regards to King Tommy. So he was very, very smart indeed, and the opening heat of the night went the way of Dandelup Blazer, who was able to get underneath of West on Odie, and a greyhound that only won by a neck. The time was 29.95. Runaway to Mars finishing third. West on Booney, who was also from this Tommy Shelby. West on Violet Lissa back in fourth place, so he qualifies for the final. And in the second heat, King Tommy was able to defeat Disco Daisy by 5 lengths. He was last out. He was last past the judge the first time and still went 29.77. Father Manelli finishing third, and West on Blossom back in fourth place. How are we going there, Leia? Have we been able to get Justin back online?
Well, we do, but producer Taylor's just having a chat to him, so I can't put him on air.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, we've got him now. Here's Justin.
All right, Justin. We had hopefully get a better line here now. He's a very smart dog, King Tommy.
Yeah, he's definitely. He's just really exciting. Obviously, as I said, the distance wasn't ideal for him on Saturday, and I'm hoping that he can keep up that speed for a little bit longer as things go on, as the distances go on.
As you know, with your discussions with Chris, he decided to step a few of this litter up to the 600 metres, hoping that he'd be able to get a little bit of confidence on the arm and improve his box skills. But I'm hoping it's a one-off for you, but he didn't jump that well the other night.
No, I think once I'm only new at the greyhounds, that once they're up in the distances, they can't keep their speed up. So you're running at 600-700 metres, then you drop back to 500 metres. It's pretty hard to still have that speed when you're dropping back against dogs that are probably a spot on at 500 metres, and you're coming back. All of a sudden you're a little bit slower, but they're a bit quicker, and it was pretty obvious on Saturday night that he's going to need a lot of luck in running if he keeps squawking out like that.
Now, Leia, you've got the box draw and also the marker with Tap Touch. Who is the favourite on Sunday morning when I was speaking with Harry Buchanan? King Tommy was the favourite. Is he still favourite with Tap Touch?
He is. Drawn box 7 here, favourite at 2.50. Second favourite, West on Booney. So a litter, the two in the litter favourites here. And then on the third line of betting, we've got the reserve runner of Solidified, but it looks to be a race between King Tommy and West on Booney. Justin, good morning to you. King Tommy, drawn box 7. He's got a 100% strike rate from here. Are you confident with him going around in the final?
I'm not confident with anything. When it comes to racing, I know that you just got to take a deep breath, and I just hope they get around in one piece. That's the first thing, and just you don't get any bad luck, and whatever happens. If you go in enough big races, you'll eventually win one. They are hard to win in anything, so as I said, I'm always just happy that they're in there, they get around in one piece, and whatever happens. So, but I'm never confident, no.
They're very smart. I've got a high opinion of West on Booney and obviously a very high opinion of King Tommy. They're both from the same litter and flying Frida also. So they've been very, very smart. When they were born, did you have the first choice first of all, and did you choose King Tommy? And how did it come about that the other one, Booney, West on Booney, ended up going to the Westerns and Linda and Chris?
Well, fortunately enough, obviously a connection through with Linda and Chris. Linda gave me 2 brood bitches, which is West on Violet and Deluxe Model. And then there's a puppy agreement, share agreement. So if they have a litter, Linda gets to pick if they have 5, she gets to pick 1. If they have 6 or more, she gets to pick 2. So I think both litters we had an 11 and a 7. So Linda has picked out a couple from each litter, and then in this case it was West on Booney and West on Nugget. They were the 2 that Linda picked. I actually wanted to keep the bitches out of the litter, so that's how it happened. And then I raised them down here, and off they went. And fingers crossed. I hope they all go well. And so Linda's she definitely picked well out of this litter, that's for sure.
You're remarkable and got a great reputation of being able to pick out a yearling at a sale. Is it the same with greyhounds? Can you pick them out when they're in the run?
I can't. No, I don't. Good luck to anyone that can. I think they're just puppies, so and they change all the time, and they have their good days and their bad days. But no, I can't. The one sort of couch surfer was he was pretty nonchalant. You wouldn't really know he was around. And King Tommy was a bit of a strange cat. He's had so much energy. When I got to the kennels, or the yards, because they live in big yards, if I didn't go and say hello to him straight away, he would jump out of his yard and come and say hello to me. It'd be the only time that he'd ever jump out, as if I didn't go over. And I had about 30 or 40 seconds when I got there to go over and say hello to him. If I didn't say hello in time, he would just come and say hello to me. So it didn't matter sort of how high I made the fence. He always tried to get over it. So he was the only one that sort of stuck out. But whether he was ever going to be any good as a race dog, how do you know? So I'll just give him to Chris and Linda and keep my fingers crossed.
Well, you just mentioned Couch Surfer, Justin, and you've been lucky with Couch Surfer because out of the litter, he's been the most successful, and he's travelled a bit earlier in this year over. He's back in WA now. Do you guys have any plans for him to travel for the rest of the year?
I don't. I just leave all that up to Linda and Chris, whatever they think is whatever they think is viable. Now we've got there's a couple of others sort of run around at the same distance. Whether they think of splitting them up or not, I'm not too sure. But we did travelling before, and not a lot went right for him. I don't know whether he didn't get the right boxes or the right luck in running, but it probably was a move that, in hindsight, we might have been better off just to leave him here a bit longer. But they're not my decisions to make, so I just enjoy the ride and let the knowledgeable people make the decisions on that.
Have you spoken to Chris after Couch Surfer's run the other night when he finished tailed off? He got into a buffeting duel with, I think it was Bad Boy Jagger. The two of them bumped numerous times going around, but has he reported how he pulled up or any other excuses from that run?
No, we had a bit of a text message conversation on Saturday night, just that obviously the two dogs didn't get along. What was the other dog's name? They just bumped for 700 metres, but no, I haven't heard. I presume everything's okay, so I don't try not to worry them too much on a Sunday morning.
We spoke last week, and we've been speaking for a period of time about the rich stake money that's on offer at the moment. So the $1 million chase in New South Wales, which is coming up in October, and then you've got the Melbourne Cup and also the Phoenix, which is a slot race in Melbourne in the middle of December. Have you and Chris discussed whether you would travel for those sort of races with these dogs, because they're very, very talented? And as we saw recently with the national sprint final, Sage Tenniel being able to defeat, Postman Pat, who's already been picked up as a slot runner. The quality of the WA chases at the moment is really, really high. So, and King Tommy, also West on Booney, Couch Surfer, there's a few of them at the moment that you own that would certainly match it with the eastern states. Have you discussed going across and chasing those? Sorry for the long question. Those rich prize money.
No, we haven't discussed not a single word, to be honest. But Linda generally is the one that would be sort of instrumental in making things like that happen. And Linda's been away for a couple of weeks, so I'm pretty sure she's back today or tomorrow. So if they mention it, I try and stay out. I'm just happy for them to go around and whatever they want to do. They're busy people and their shares in the dogs with me. So whatever they think is a good decision, I just go with that. So I haven't spoke about it, but I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, if the dogs hold form and they stay healthy, that it will get discussed at some stage.
Yeah, well, she's got a slot, or she's part owner of one of the slots in the Phoenix later in the year, so make sure you talk to her about it. Just before we let you go, and I appreciate your time, are there any more litters on the ground? You've had success with the first two, so I'm presuming you've gone and tried it again. How many more litters do you have on the ground?
There's one more litter. There was a big gap because I had one stage there. There was obviously 19 puppies out of the first two litters, so I didn't want to have any more puppies if these guys weren't going to be sort of what we're after, and I had no idea whether they were going to be, good race dogs. So
yep.
I think there's probably close to nearly 2 years between the litters. There's a litter on the ground at the moment that is about 5 months old. So they're brothers. They're brothers to King Tommy and Flying Freda. And they're by West on Augie. He's by Fernando Bale. And Deluxe Model is pregnant at the moment. She's due on the 10th of next month. And we only got her scanned last Monday. So there's a lot of puppies in there, and they're King Tommies. So looking forward to them arriving next month. Fingers crossed.
King Tommy or Tommy Shelby?
Oh, sorry, Tommy Shelby. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, you're mating already. Tommy Shelby.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, so
why not Tommy Shelby?
So they're couch surfers, brothers and sisters. He was by Fernando Bale, and these guys obviously by Tommy Shelby, so same line.
Good to hear. Good to hear you've got some more pups on the way. She's a belter. Does she return to the track in the thoroughbreds this weekend?
Yeah, she's racing. So she's had 2 trials. She's changed trainers. She's now under the care of Annabelle Neesham, and she trialled quite nicely last Monday or Tuesday, and she's in the Golden Pendant at Randwick this Saturday coming. So the fields will be out today. Barrier draws, I think, Wednesday. So fingers crossed there as well.
Don't want to take your price, but for our listeners, is she going well enough to have a couple of dollars each way?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's going well. Fingers crossed. I like the way the preparation's gone. I'm not too sure. She's obviously not going to be spot on first up. Annabelle's only had her a few months, and she's still working her out. She looks pretty happy. She's doing seems to be doing everything right. I think she's in for a good prep. Whether she can win first up, I'm not too sure, but I would follow her and just see how she goes this preparation. I'm pretty sure we're going to hit a jackpot somewhere along the line.
Good on you, Justin. Thanks for joining us. Good luck in the final this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, punters.
Good on you. Justin Warwick joining us, and he's got a couple of runners that he bred and one that he owns in the WA Bred Championship coming up final on Saturday night at Cannington. Northern Greyhound Racing today. Leia, looking forward to that, and of course the Thoroughbreds at Northern today as well. That meeting transferred from last week because of the rain. And there is the traffic issues up near Warraloo today with the truck fire, so just be careful if you're heading up. You might want to take an alternate route to get to Northern today.
Yes, punters, the travel's safe. And, what's going on with this line? Hello?
All right. Leia's just having problems with the microphone. We might take a break, and after this we'll come back with Race Day with Leia Ernest.